What's up, guys? It's that time again. Prince Macedon here at Universal Studios Florida, and I'm going to give you guys a little look at the Six House Tour, which is the Behind the Screams Lights On Tour for HHN 2024. The six houses on this tour are going to be Insidious, which is my favorite house of the year, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, Universal Monsters, Eternal Bloodlines, and then we have the original houses, Major Sweets Candy Factory, Monsters of Latin America, which was from Hollywood from last year. Great house, by the way. And also Goblin's Feast. So the only house that's not on the Six House Tour or the Three House Tour is A Quiet Place, which is a shame because I love that house too. But yeah, I'm gonna take you on this tour. I can't film inside the houses, but I can take a lot of pictures, and I'm gonna talk over the pictures, giving you my own commentary. A little side note, I do have to take a work call in the middle of this tour, so I might be missing some really cool pictures, unfortunately. So for the Six House Tour, we get the same lanyard, but then we get this really cool button. Look at that, it's got three skulls and looks like a candle on it. And this is for our listening device so we can hear the tour guide. And I showed these on the last tour, but these are costumes from last year. So our tour guide told us that our first two houses would be Insidious to Further and Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I was excited, but also slightly worried because I had to take a work call at 9:50 a.m., which meant I could potentially miss some details of my favorite HHN sets this year. This year's Insidious house is inspired by all 5 Insidious movies, including the last one, Insidious: The Red Door. The set designs for this house are really solid. The house itself is my favorite house of the year by far, due to how well the costumes and set designs complement the overall story of the house. It is easily the creepiest house this year since everyone is creeped out by demons. Obviously, there are some really iconic rooms in this house that I could not take pictures of, but I was happy with what they offered us. That said, one of my favorite houses this year in terms of set designs and feeling like I'm in a movie belongs to Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, which is aptly based off the movie of the same name. Some of my favorite sets from this movie are recreated in HHN form to my sheer delight. I love starting off this house in Ray's Occult Bookstore and seeing all the relics on display, including all the little Stay Puft Marshmallow Men who are all over this house. My favorite set, though, would be the Paranormal Research Center, which acts as a second storage unit for containing these ghosts, and also as a general research facility for ghost busting. I love to see a TV show using the Paranormal Research Center as the Ghostbusters' main base of operations. And we were allowed to take pictures in most of the rooms inside this house, but we were not allowed to take pictures inside a very epic room featuring the Ecto-1 car. The third house that we would do just before our planned lunch break would be Monstruous, the Monsters of Latin America. I don't think I pronounced that right. This was the only house in our tour where we could not photograph the opening set of the house. This house actually came right from last year's Universal Studios Hollywood Monstruous house. If you wanted to do that house again or hadn't seen it yet because you live in Florida, then you might be happy that that Universal Studios Florida brought it over to the East Coast. This was a cool house as it literally exposes you to monsters of Latin America. I really couldn't find much fault with this house. We are on a much needed lunch break, and I'm very happy. I had to take a call in the middle of the Ghostbuster house, but I was able to take pictures of my favorite room. My favorite room is the second storage unit that you see in the movie. We're gonna start the second half of our tour in the Simpsons area. Right after our lunch break, we headed all the way to the back of the park, starting with Universal Monsters Eternal Bloodlines, which was right next to Goblin's Feast, which we would do right after this house. I was lucky enough to go through this house a second time during HHN event hours and loved it much more than the first time I went through when they barely had any performers inside. I love the storyline of this house, which might be a little difficult to follow after just one walkthrough. But basically, the daughter of Dracula is out to get revenge for her dead father by ending the Van Helsing bloodline. In this case, the Van Helsing character here is a daughter named Saskia, something like that, who for some reason only knows how to handle a crossbow. Van Helsing forms an unlikely alliance with the Bride of Frankenstein, while the daughter of Dracula gets to team up with the She-Wolf of London, as well as Aksunamun, whose name circulates throughout Universal's Mummy movies. This is a cool premise since all the leading characters are female, And I am most intrigued by Saskia von Helsing, but I also love seeing the She-Wolf of London, who is based off the 1946 Universal movie She-Wolf of London. And in case you're wondering, the daughter of Dracula is inspired by the 1936 Universal movie Dracula's Daughter, featuring Dracula's daughter named Maria. And since we were right next to this house, we headed right into Goblin's Feast. If you're a fan of Dylan Kolab's scenic design of Dead Man's Pier and Wicked Growth, then you might enjoy the multi-layered scenes of Goblin's Feast, where it looks like you are immersed in an actual location, and you might be able to venture off into the background scenes, because that's how multi-layered the scenes look in this house. During my walkthrough of this house, during HHN event hours, I was incredibly surprised by how fun this house was. Me and my friend chuckled at the Shrek-like costumes inside this house, plus the overall lightheartedness of the house in general. You will find quite a few fantastic sets in this house, which is celebrating a huge goblin holiday where you and all of your other human companions are particularly welcomed over. Alright guys, headed to Fast and Furious for the last house on the tour. This is going to be Major Sweets Candy Factory, and there seems to be another group here waiting as well. So the last house was going to be Major Sweets Candy Factory, and this house was located at the Fast and Furious Supercharge area, where they've previously housed a number of Blumhouse houses. Major Sweets Candy Factory is the house form of the Sweet Revenge Scare Zone from 2 years ago. I'm in love with the idea of the setting of this house, which is basically a creepy candy factory that makes candy, ran by some crazy murderers. This is a solid original house, and I love it when Universal develops their scare zones into house form. Hey guys, I just finished my 6-house tour, and our tour guide was awesome. He was so funny. Like, all the tour guides have been awesome, but this guy was like hilarious. But yeah, I got some pretty good pictures in the houses, and I was kind of happy. 2 people did not come, so that meant there was even more room for us to take more pictures inside. But yeah, I gotta say, my favorite house during the event is Insidious, but my favorite set is probably Ghostbusters. I freaking love the Ghostbuster set designs in there, and I got the pictures that I wanted inside. But yeah, if you ever want to try this tour, I highly recommend it, because it lets you appreciate the details better of the houses, because during the event you just zoom right through them. You don't get time to appreciate all the care that's went into them. But yeah, that was the 6-house tour. I've also already done the 3-house tour if you want to check that out. And that's gonna be it for this vlog, guys. I'll see you guys next time.